Hi everyone, my name is Amy Stiffarm and I'm Aani of the Fort Belknap Indian community in Montana, and I also descend from the Cree and Blackfeet nations. I am presenting on the ancestral lands of the Kasanka, Salish, and Kalispay peoples and on the present-day Flathead Reservation, located in what is now known as northwestern Montana. I appreciate the time and space to share my story because I feel like it's healing for me, but also important for people to know. I think to understand about my personal story, you need to understand my positionality as an Indigenous woman. While I draw upon so much strength from my culture, when we're thinking about mental health, we need to be aware of the unhealed historical trauma in our communities due to colonization and the genocide that came with it. There are obviously dire consequences when populations are removed from their ancestral land and their language and knowledge systems are eradicated through policies and practices like the stealing of children to attend boarding schools. These were intentional and they were very successful in disrupting communities, especially the parenting aspects. Thankfully, for many tribes, ceremonies and language continue on. Some tribes are working diligently to reclaim their traditional knowledge and healing practices. However, not all tribes have been able to reclaim everything. Some Indigenous scholars posit that colonization has left residues of patriarchy in communities where knowledge that has been reclaimed has been male-focused. When we're talking about women, we need to acknowledge that because of patriarchy, not all cultural knowledge has been passed on or reclaimed in the same way. Our people had knowledge on how to care for mothers, and that's a real opportunity for protection and resiliency. So the first thing about my story that I immediately feel guilt and shame about is that receiving news of my second pregnancy was not a happy moment. I laid in bed and cried, thinking about how was I ever going to manage this. I had a 1-year-old who was already so much work. I still hadn't finished graduate school and my relationship was struggling. I felt pressured to be happy and excited about all of it, but I felt like I had no choice. Like getting pregnant is just what happens when you're married, right? In the late summer of 2016, I gave birth to my baby girl. But the butterflies never really came. My life still felt gray and more stressful than ever. I remember trying to tell my mom something wasn't right and she was just encouraging me, not really what I needed. After I had my baby, my partner went back to work 4 days later, and because of his hours, I wasn't able to just stay home and take care of myself. I had to get my older daughter ready and load us all up to take her and pick her up from school every day. I worked so hard to build up comp time during my pregnancy, but still ended up back at work within a month's time. My boss was kind enough to let me bring my baby to work since there were other babies there anyway, and that seemed like a good idea at the time for a breastfeeding mom, but honestly, it just added way more stress to my life. I remember pulling up to my house after work with both my girls sitting in their car seats in the back, and I would just sit there and stare at my house, trying to mentally prepare myself for what I would call my second shift, knowing that I had to take care of my daughters and that it would be a few more hours before their dad would make it home from work. It just felt daunting. I just wanted to sit in that car where we were all contained and safe and not making messes, and my girls weren't needing me, and I could just sit there. I was waking up in the middle of the night, feeling a pit in my stomach from worrying about all of these things, questioning how I was supposed to survive doing all of this. I was feeling like nothing would ever get better. Could I live through this another day? Staying up worrying made me exhausted, which made it harder to keep my composure during the day, and sometimes my anxiety would get so bad that I'd have panic attacks. And the worst part was going through all of this in secrecy, not really telling people what I was going through because I was ashamed. Finally, I took a test online and messaged my friend telling her that I thought I had postpartum depression. I told her I was having a hard time finding help because I knew most of the local people through my job, I told her I was afraid to say anything at my upcoming postpartum appointment because I thought they would make a big deal about it and that they'd be bugging me and I'd have to have more appointments and need to miss more work. I was also scared for people to find out. I felt irrational but couldn't stop these thoughts, like how I wanted to leave my family and that me leaving would be better for everyone. I was mad at myself for feeling this way. I felt like I didn't have it that bad, so I shouldn't feel this way. I was worried that I'd be judged by other people. Mostly, I just wanted to know why I felt the way I felt. It just didn't make sense. By the end of our chat session, my friend validated me and had called 3 different places, finally landing me with an appointment with a provider that I didn't already know through my work for a few days later. Therapy helped me learn skills like breathing and being aware of how my body felt. Looking back, one thing that I think really helped me was attending the language classes with a group of women through my daughter's Head Start. It wasn't necessarily a support group, but being around good energy and strong, caring women in an environment full of culture was something I started looking forward to every week. Eventually, the thing that helped me the most and continues to help me today is running. And here's a picture of my first half marathon with my brother Eric and my daughters. So now I'm a survivor. I've graduated with my master's in public health, and I'm currently enrolled in an Indigenous Health PhD program, hoping to help grow healing opportunities for more mothers in our communities. While I am a survivor, I'm still navigating this, randomly feeling guilty if I think too hard about it, secretly wishing for another chance to have a happy pregnancy, birthing, and breastfeeding experience, while also being too afraid of another bad one. But mostly, I just keep fighting through because I don't want any other woman to feel how I felt and suffer that way. We're up against so much: systematic racism, patriarchy, historical trauma, the list goes on. But as women, we are powerful. We have the power to create life, and we have the power to heal. This time of healing has been prophesied by many Indigenous people all over the world. I believe this time of healing is now, and it starts with mothers and babies. Here's a recent picture of my daughters, Tamaya and Kasaya. And my favorite thing is watching them sleep at night and feeling those butterflies that I missed after I had Kissy. The butterflies remind me of the power of healing and that things don't stay bad forever. Guinea hand, thank you.